Dr. Tony Rooke, thank you so much for joining us at the Energy Landscape Conference on September the 10th. We just want to hear from you because you represent Howden as one of the main sponsors here, made today happen. You are the head of transition advisory. So
Correct.
if you could just share with the audience, why does Howden like to sponsor these types of events, and what your personal role within the organisation has been in terms of looking at climate risks and the solutions around it, and the role that insurance can play in climate mitigation?
So Howden's is an insurance broker, so we are responsible for helping our clients find insurance. Climate change is impacting all of our clients in one way or another. So we've been set up in the business that I function in within Howden to help our clients understand how climate is going to impact them, and then how do they actually mitigate that risk and use insurance to do that. And we help a lot of energy clients, as well as across marine, across industry, across retail. So we help a lot of clients across a lot of industries, but energy is where the climate change issue is coming first and foremost right now.
So as Howden approaches energy, are your clients focused on the transition and how to approach that? Because obviously there are numerous ways that any company can make that transition. How does insurance companies even come into that? Like, how do they approach the transition? I understand you have a strategic background, so how do you look at a company and advise them on the transition?
So first and foremost, it's understanding what climate means to them, what it's going to do to their revenues, but also what it might do in terms of impact. Then we actually help them understand the risks and opportunities, and then finally what the strategic decision making should be. How do they transition? How do they go to net zero? But also, how do they become resilient to the extreme weather events that we find through climate change? Drought, flood, fire, storms. So we take that holistic approach, and then we can bring insurance in to help. And one of the issues we found is that till now, financing the transition and resilience has been very much in the purview of the asset managers, the asset owners, and the banks. But insurance hasn't really been engaged in helping the transition. And that's why we've been set up within Howden, is to help our clients understand where they are, understand what their risks and opportunities are, make a strategic plan for that, and then transfer the risk that they need to into the insurance market, and we help them place that risk and pay for that insurance.
And so what sectors generally are you touching on? And does Howden tend to sort of specialise with, for example, the real estate market? I mean, you mentioned energy companies. Do you deal with innovation, or is it just normal large energy providers? Just to give a flavour of the type of sectors and companies that you deal with.
We span across all of very small companies all the way up to multinationals. So it spans the whole of that. We have tens of thousands of clients just here in the UK. So it's a big business, and that's why I came to Howden, is because it has that disproportionate potential impact on helping the transition, helping resiliency within the energy industry. And the three areas and the three sectors we are most focused on at the moment are energy, transport, and the built environment. Because that's where climate really is sort of impacting right now, both in a positive way and in a negative way.
And are you playing a role in trying to get insurance companies to think about how they do their policies differently, and in terms of other innovative ways now that are required for insurance companies to sort of rethink their whole processes, or are they using traditional models?
Everybody has to have a plan. This is not business as usual. So whether you're a corporate, in energy, in transport, in marine, in buildings, or if you're a financial institution like an insurer, because we are entering a non-business as usual world, the undiscovered country, everybody has to have a plan on how they're going to respond to it. So the short answer is yes, we help insurers. We are helping to advise them as well as partners in how do we help their clients and our clients as well place this into the market.
So I presume also the role of insurance is also to de-risk,
Yes.
any involvement in investments or assets. So from that point of view, do you how do you see going forward to 2030 the role of insurance helping to de-risk people's exposure, both financially and in terms of their asset class?
So we can help across the swathe of how you actually bring new assets online and decommission them. So everything in de-risking the actual project so you can get finance in the first place. It's called the bankability of those projects. So we can increase the number of projects by using insurance to provide warranties for whether the technology actually works to the performance that the business case shows. And then we can go into what people think of more regular insurance, of providing insurance through construction phase, through operational phase, and then also into decommissioning or sell-off.
And my last question would be really about energy choice and preferences around that. Do you see a role across all the energy sectors? Would you think that renewable energy and nuclear are the ones to be focused on primarily? What do you personally believe is sort of the answer to solving climate change, which is now a new term? What do you think could really be the ideal scenario for the UK? Take the UK or pan-European.
So if we talk power sector first, the UK has already decarbonised a lot. In fact, this week, I believe, or next week, is the final coal power station will be shut. So from a power sector point of view, coal has already gone by the wayside. Renewables will increase, but there is still a role in the next 10, 20, 30 years for fossil fuels. It's just how we decarbonise that, both the sourcing of the fuel and then also can we capture the carbon as we burn it and use it.
So could you just explain how you perhaps advise Howden and your clients on the energy mix trajectory, if you like? So moving away from fossil fuels towards clean forms of energy over time in a pragmatic way, and then how insurance has a role to play in that, because it's something that myself, I don't know how you use that to stimulate those innovations, but perhaps you could shed some light.
Okay, so the world's energy system is about 80% fossil fuel already. So we are going to be able to need fossil fuels within the next 10, 20, 30 years. And it's how we decarbonise their use whilst we ramp up clean forms of energy like renewables and potentially in circumstances nuclear as well. So there is a blend of energy mix. In the UK, in the next week or two, the last coal-fired power station will come offline. So we've already taken coal out of the mix in the UK, and we're starting to see that elsewhere in the world. What we will see, though, is if we keep to our trajectories on emissions reductions, and there are models that we use to do that, interpret that for the business, then we need to also involve carbon capture and storage. And insurance is really important in this, in helping to sort of provide a guarantee, fiscal guarantee, that if there is a leak, there is money that would come back in order to plug that leak and compensate the provider of that, plus anybody that's bought credits from the sequestration of that carbon. So there's a lot of fiscal instruments that insurance can help de-risk and provide a sort of warranty and a backdrop so that those projects can go ahead.
That's extremely interesting, and actually I wasn't aware of the minute detail of that. and that I think that should give people a lot of confidence that these new businesses, these new forms of energy actually are going to be quite robust and accountable, because at the end of the day, it's about accountability, isn't it, and getting the measurement tools right.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time, and well done for sponsoring this wonderful event, and please, we'll come back and have another interview again at hopefully another conference. Take care, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.